You guys, I'm so sorry, but what Crystal said was so beautifully said that I'm going to make it repeated due to technology cut her off, and I had to start recording again.
Okay, so I was just sharing how I didn't know a lot about disabilities until I went to college, and that's because I had a roommate who had a disability. And a lot of what I learned was just being around her, seeing the challenges that she had. Her name is Carla, and she's considered legally blind and wears these really thick Coke bottle glasses. And some of the challenges that she had was just people being offended by her because they didn't understand what she was going through. And she had tunnel vision, and she didn't have any peripheral vision, so she couldn't see what was going on around her. She could only see what was going on directly in front of her. And people would get mad because they're like, why are you ignoring me? Like, I was right there in front of your face. And for the longest time, she really struggled because people were getting mad at her, and she really had to learn how to be an advocate for herself and then how to teach others to be an advocate for her. And so she had to tell people, like, I didn't mean to be rude. I can't see you. You know, she would tell people, she would move her hand and say, if you're in my peripheral vision over here, I can't see anything. So you think I saw you. You think I'm being rude, but I'm not. She goes, I have thick Coke bottle glasses, so that should be a clue. And people she had to learn how to make it a joke, and people just feel comfortable about it because, you know, there's so many political correct terms that sometimes it's like, how do you ask someone about their disability, especially if it's not obvious or you don't know what their challenges are? People feel like I don't want to be criticized for not being politically correct, or they don't want the embarrassment of being corrected. And so sometimes there's not a lot of conversation. And she had to really learn how to be vocal and let people know, these are my challenges, and this is how you can help me. You know, if you want my attention, say my name, Carla, you know, and then she'll know versus trying to give her a hand signal or wave or some other visual signal that she couldn't see.
And now you were saying that you should make these schools jump like this, you know, tomorrow and be forceful with the schools because they might not know they're dealing with thousands and thousands of students, these Ivy League schools like Harvard, and my school, the Academy of Arts in San Francisco, is dealing with thousands and thousands of students. So you want to ask them, and you were saying it takes a lot to put elevator in, and you were saying it takes a lot to make the school handicapped accessible. And so you, Crystal, was saying you want to make these schools go gulp just a little bit and ask them, what are you going to do on a snowy day? What are you going to do to assist my child if they are in a fire drill? What are you going to do if they are in a mudslide, God forbid? Or what are you going to do if the building starts burning from those California wildfires, or just a simple fire in a dome?
I think those are great questions, and that's why I'm an advocate for starting a conversation. Even before you enroll at college, ask them, what services do you provide to people with disabilities? And make a list of your concerns. Like, that's an excellent question about having a fire drill, and what do you do, and how do you know where the exits are? What services do you provide? And some schools have thought about this a lot more than other schools. You know, obviously a school that has a building that needs to put in an elevator has to raise a lot of money for that. And so they might not be thinking about all the different areas of disability, because different disabilities have different challenges. Some of the challenges are the same, and some of them are unique for your individual disability. So that's why you need to be an advocate for yourself and say, these are my challenges. Do I have a challenge with balance? Do I have a challenge with seeing? Do I have a challenge of maybe needing to take more time if it comes to taking a test or needing a room that's quiet? And if you know what your needs are, then you can start asking these schools, do you provide the service, or what services do you provide to help me cope with this area that I can use some support in?
And as we said in interview number 1, which I'll put with interview number 2, I said ask outside sources to help you find financing. I told you guys the story of the Rehab, and yes, we're still working on that for me, but ask outside sources to help you get assistive technology inside the classroom, because outside resources may know more than the average book we have, because the average book we have, I'm sorry, but they're so thin now because they might have 1 of 10 patients that they have to deal with, or in my case, I'm 1 of 80 patients, which makes me sad and angry, but that's all as a podcast in itself. And so you might have to tap resources that you have never tapped before.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is when you start a conversation about what your challenges are, you don't have to look at it as a negative thing. You could be simply saying, I have a hard time seeing. And people might recommend resources. And in my roommate's case, there was a whole bunch of different software things that she qualified for, and she got a lot of it covered either through her insurance, or there was a lot of nonprofit organizations that were like, yes, we want to help people with disabilities. So she got like special software program on her laptop to enlarge things, and people became advocates for her, like, can you update your software to make it more accessible for disabilities? Or she would have people that would train her to have the computer read it out loud for her, so she didn't have to constantly read the screen. And she didn't know any of this, but by being an advocate for herself, people are like, oh, this is a great resource. Or have you heard about this organization that specializes with people with disabilities? Or this organization that helps people who are going to college, but they struggle with special challenges. And she may have never found out about some of those resources if she didn't have the conversation saying, these are my challenges, and just letting people openly know, like, I might not be able to do that, or it might take me longer because I don't have the same capacity as you. I don't have the same eyesight as you, and that's why.
Yeah. So if you just accept your disability and make it a mainstream conversation, and it won't scare people off, you guys. Whereas if you just go in with not being blind to what this school may offer, no pun intended, then you run into problems.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like, I think it's really interesting because it turned out that there ended up being some benefits, because she can't drive. She's legally blind. And I thought it was hilarious when someone told her that she is eligible for a handicap sign that you put on a car when you're driving. And she's like, I can't drive. I would never need that. And she was thinking that was more for people who had a physical disability, like maybe they had an amputated arm or leg or had crutches or something like that. She never thought it applied to her. But what happens is if someone is driving her, say, to a doctor's appointment or to a store, because she can't see, she's in less physical harm if she walks shorter distances. And so she was awarded this handicap plaque. And so now it was great to go run errands, because it's like, I'll take you to your doctor's appointment. We'll go to the store. You don't have to worry about fighting for traffic.
I'm laughing because you say that. My dad, and he doesn't do it when I'm not with him. He loves using my handicap pass when he's doing errands. And I'm like, Dad, you got to quit doing that, because they will get a hold of you and have a little conversation with you. But people ask me all the time, can I use your handicap pass? And don't forget your handicap pass, because you're with me, the driver gets benefit.
Mhm. Mhm. And so it makes it easier for people to want to help you because they're like, what other benefits do you have?
Yes, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. If you open up your disability into a mainstream conversation, people are 9 times out of 10 want to help you. They don't, unless you ask for it, they will never know you're legally blind, or they will never know you have CP or spinal cord injury or dyslexia until you say that. And when we talk about equal opportunity employment, most employers on able-bodied job applications, because I've been filling out job applications for freelance writing, you guys, and so they have said, do you have a disability or you a veteran? They want to know what, and of course they say it's completely optional. And I say, yes, I have a disability so that they can make the accommodations. It's same with school.
Yeah, and that's a great place to get practice. I mean, you're being an advocate for yourself at school, and then you take that when it's time to apply for a job. It's the same conversation, but now you're talking to an employer instead of a professor or someone at school. That's an excellent point.
Yeah, no. And so I'm just going to give you guys a sneak peek here on my schooling, which is with the Academy Awards. I will get my book on Kindle. I will get extended time on my assignments. But the only reason why that is because I said to them, I have cerebral palsy, you guys have to make accommodations. It's law. And if people don't follow law, schools, or equal opportunity employers, then we go gulp as the disabled, and we take the next action, which is sometimes not pretty for the school or equal opportunity employers because they're not accommodating us. So if they go gulp when you guys go on your college tours, or even when you're moving in to college in August, if they go gulp, just say Google the Americans with Disabilities Act, and then they'll find out more of what they can do. Most schools are pretty aware of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and California is one of those states that's very cutting edge for disabilities, so they knew exactly what I was talking about. They said, here, fill out this paperwork. We need documentation of your disability. And yes, they need documentation of your disability because they don't want people walking in there saying, I have a disability and using this system. So it takes time, but it's worth it.
Yes, it is. And a lot of it, again, it just goes back to being an advocate. And there's a lot of things that schools and companies are doing, and there's a lot of things they could be doing better. But sometimes they don't know what that is if they don't understand what challenge you have. Again, how do they fix a problem if they don't know about it? And so, again, it's being able to come from a place of strength and being able to say, these are the challenges. Have you thought about it? Where are you at? What are you doing? And it holds them accountable, and it also makes them feel good because then they're not feeling like, oh, my God, we waited until an accident happened. It's like, oh, we could plan better, or what else can we do? Because they want to attract students. They know that there's a lot of people out there with disabilities because the American Disability Act, you hear about it so much, especially in California. You hear about it a lot, and it's in the topic of conversation. But if you're like myself and you don't engage with a lot of people with disabilities, it's hard for me if I was in a position at a college to be able to accommodate you if I don't know what your challenges are and how they're different from everybody else's.
And I know this for a fact. Your academic advisor will put you with the special ed department. Some schools call it the special ed department. Others call it classroom services. But I believe every school has them. And my school, and I know that Harvard does too, because I checked Harvard's site, believe it or not. And my school has it on the front page. My previous college, you kind of had to fish around. So I like the schools that have it smack dab on their front page, and this is what we're doing. We're equal opportunity school here. We support the disabled. So, but if you get an academic advisor who knows what they're talking about, they will direct you within the school to the support services or to the classroom services.
Absolutely. And again, even when you go to support services, sometimes you might have a professor who's may have not had a lot of students with disabilities in their class, or it may have been so long ago they forgot what are the proper procedures or protocols. So again, even though you might have that support from your college counselor and supportive services, you still need to be an advocate to a professor and be able to address it in a way that it gets taken care of, and know that if you have challenges, who do you go to next? Who's the next in command or chain in command in that support services, saying, I approached this professor, this is what I need, this is what happened, what do we do now? And then you're providing the school with, I took action, what can you do about it?
And most support services hand you letters. I've been handed letters via email to the professors, and they make the student hand the letters to the professors. But at the same time, you have to be an advocate. Letters can't sum up all disabilities. They can sum up the accommodations, but you have to be an advocate for those extra accommodations you need. Like if you need the doormat swept before you walk into the classroom so you don't fall walking into the classroom, that could be placed in the accommodations, but 9 times out of 10, it's not. So you still have to be an advocate.
Yeah, and a lot of times things wear out or they wear down, especially like paint. I know they'll paint like if you're walking on the sidewalk and there's a big crack, they might paint it like bright yellow. And over time, because of the sun and natural wear and tear, to a normal person, it might still look yellow. But if you have challenges with your vision, it might not be that bright yellow that you can see anymore. And so now the school thinks that, hey, we're in compliance, everything's okay. And then you have to tell them, you know, this color is faded, I almost tripped, I almost fell. You know, is it possible to get it repainted? Or what's the process? Who can I submit like an application or a comment or a request to get it repainted? Things like that, people without disabilities may not ever think of, because to us, we don't see it the same way that you see it.
Yes, exactly. So you have to be an advocate with the maintenance guy too, and say, look, I need ice because I need ice put on this front step, or this front walk, because I am walking to class and I need the snow shoveled, or I need X, Y, and Z.
Absolutely. And you know what? Another thing could be as simple as when it rains and people carry umbrellas. A lot of times when they walk into that building, that water drips on the floor and then it gets slippery and it's easy to fall. So it could be as simple as suggesting, you know, what can we do, you know, to make it safe to walk around when it's raining. And a lot of retail stores will offer the little plastic sleeves. You just slide on an umbrella, so while they're walking around, the water doesn't drip on the floor. and just being able to know what's available and to be able to make those kind of recommendations, you're doing the school a huge favor because you're saving them money from a possible lawsuit for everybody, not just people with disabilities, but anybody who could fall and might become disabled because of that.
Yeah, because you, Crystal, said a good point, because temporary disabilities are no fun either. So if the professor falls when she's walking into the classroom with a laptop and a handful of books, it's not going to be very fun for the professor. So you are being an advocate not only for yourself, but for everyone else around you.
And when everybody's being an advocate, that takes the pressure off of you from having to do it all and realize you're part of a community where everybody's looking out for everybody's safety.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, Crystal, what would be the closing words for this part 2 of this interview, being asking for support in the classroom or being disabled in the classroom?
I would say, one, learn how to speak about what your challenges are, and just know that everybody has challenges, but your challenges are unique to you. And be an advocate for yourself, and then teach your friends, your professors, and other people to be an advocate for you, because it helps make the conversation easier, especially when you have professors and your friends and other people saying, no, this challenge needs to be addressed, or we really care about my friend, she has this challenge. It puts a little bit of social pressure on the school, moving that up the priority list, because now they see it as this isn't something we need to do just for you as someone being disabled. This is our community really cares about making sure our students are safe, and it moves it up the priority list. And so how you approach it has a lot to do with how you talk about it. So just practice becoming a really good, strong advocate.
And Crystal, I'll ask you how we ended our interview the last time, even though this is interview part 2. Do you have any questions for me based upon what we talked about today?
Yes. So I wanted to talk about you as far as you obviously grew up having a disability. So I wanted to talk about what are some of the challenges you had while in school?
I was lucky in the sense I got a little stick on my schooling. And again, I have a degree. I'm going back to my second degree, my full official associate's degree, you guys. Don't think I don't have a degree. I have a degree in early childhood education, my original degree. That's my original degree. But in the school, I was treated as if I had no disability, even though I had accommodations. And I was given the accommodations, but as I grew up, my parents taught me how to be my own advocate. And my dad was shocked when we met with the rehab. And I said, I have 2 loans, 2 grants, already set up for school. And he goes to the rehab coach, she did it all on her own. And I said, yes, I did, because I know how school's expensive is. And so I was really lucky that I had a supportive family, and I still do. And I was really lucky that they advocated for me. They adapted their lives for me. And then I was really lucky when it came to getting my first degree, which is in early childhood education, that I was able to go to the support services and say, look, this is what I need, and if things needed to be adapted, they could.
What kind of adaptations did you receive because of your disability?
And I still do. I am getting my books on Kindle so I can read them, so I can actually read them, or have voiceover read them to me. I had a one-on-one aide. In college, it's actually funny because in college, they actually assigned a student to me who was taking the class, so they didn't have to get another person just to take notes for me. And so what the student would do is take notes on carbon paper and then tear off the carbon paper for me, or tear off the carbon paper for herself and give me the original notes. So I had one-on-one aides all the time to physically read me textbooks. Now I'm using technology, and I'm skipping the tutors, skipping the aides. And so I use technology all the time. But it's so funny because when you ask about support services, they may assign a student to you to help take notes. And of course, they'll pay the student a small stipend. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yes, a lot of times it comes in the form of financial aid. And so what they'll say is, we'll provide X amount of money available for you to work in, say, student services. And so it's a way to get kids to help pay for their own college education by providing support to other students such as yourself.
Yeah.
Which
So
that's
cool. how I got my original degree. Now this degree is going to be a little bit different because I'm doing it online, but I'm going to be still using adaptive technology. So that's the accommodations I've received over the years. And yes, I will get straight A's. Yes, I will be working with a degree in fashion journalism. Yes, it will take me 2 years because remember I'm working, and so that's a whole nother podcast in itself. And I'm bringing Krista back on to explain what equal opportunity employment is and what employers should do.
Yes, I look forward to that conversation.
Yeah. So, based upon what, and Crystal, just in case people need to find you again, where are you located? And I know you have a webinar which went on last night, and I believe there's a replay of that webinar, and Crystal has coaching packages. What she's really good at is, in the original interview, she's really good at finding people money and getting people in a degree that they actually want to get into, not that they're forced into. I was kind of forced into education by my mom. And so even though I love my mom, I don't think that was the best realistic option. I think freelance writing and creative journalism is going to be a better option for me because I can do it from anywhere. I don't have to be in Aspen necessarily, and I like the creative side of it. But where can people find you if they want to get a hold of you to think, oh, my child's going to college, disabled or not, and I need help from Crystal and Win?
I always encourage people to reach out on social media, and you can find me on Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. You can try searching for me under my name, Crystal Olivarria, Olivarria. You can also look me up at Career Conversationalist, and the website is careerconversationalist.com. And as you mentioned, I do have a virtual master class to help your child select a relevant career and afford college without stress and going broke. And you can easily find that on the website. I certainly encourage you to go there and check it out. And then because I'm such a strong advocate for people who have disabilities and helping you get by, If you would like a discovery session, I'd be happy to offer that to you, or we could set up a complimentary 1-hour consultation. And then what I would do is schedule an hour in a time that's convenient for both of us, and we can discuss what are some of your roadblocks and challenges that you have, and what are some strategies to help you get around that. And if you're interested in scheduling that consultation, you can find that at careerconversationalist.com/schedule.
I was just going to chime in there. And always, always, always don't be afraid, you guys, of asking Crystal to be a semi-advocate. She doesn't have time, but she kind of knows what she's doing when it comes to financial aid. So always ask Crystal to be a liaison with the school, because the school, as I said, is dealing with so many students that they might not have time to deal with you one-on-one. So it's always nice to have an outside advocate to kind of guide you along the way, even though you guys know asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Asking for help makes all of us stronger. So I just wanted to throw that in there, that Crystal has offered that to you guys, the one-on-one consultation. And so use it. And even though I'm in college, I still might be using Crystal, just because once you're in college, there's more questions to be answered.
Yes, it's an ongoing journey, and you get better the more you engage in a conversation, the more resources you find are out there. It's easier to up-level your skills, become more valuable, and that's what makes employers want you.
Yeah, exactly. And next time we're going to be talking about employment, so make sure you tune into that episode. And this episode doesn't gear towards the disabled. It's geared towards anyone going back to college, entering college for the first time, still in college. And we talked about disabled today, but it goes towards anyone, because college is expensive and we all need to tap into the resources we have.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you, Wynn, for bringing me on to talk about this, because this is a really important topic.
Well, you're so welcome, and I hope you guys enjoyed part 2 of Crystal's and I conversation, and we will be back for part 3. Part 3 should be interesting. My employer doesn't want me to leave necessarily, but I think it's time for me to leave within the next 3 years. They keep trying to give me a pay raise and keep me. So that's good. And so we'll talk about that in the next episode. Equal opportunity employer, and just knock on doors. I knocked on a door and got a job because of it. I'll explain that in the next episode. But again, I thank Crystal and I thank her for your time today. And if you guys need more information, I can happily give you Crystal's contact information. And of course, we'll have Crystal's information in the show notes. Thanks to you guys.